Hey, I'm Zeta Sage Plays. Welcome back to San Bernardino Zoo, where today I have assembled an army of vendors in order to tackle the zoo's first major problem, this. Our guests are hungry, our guests are thirsty, our guests are tired, and worst of all, they are not happy. So, today we're going to build them a food court and a restaurant. This is only the second time I've ever used the restaurant in Planet Zoo, so I'm really excited to build something beautiful with it. But before we do that, we're going to start building the food court. We're going to be customizing some of the food vans from the Europe pack. We're going to get a craft beer van, we're going to have an ice cream van, and we're going to have a milkshake van. All the good things that you need for a good day out, as far as I'm concerned. And then we'll move on to the restaurant you can see in the background later. I've got some cool ideas for what we can do with that. But let's start with these food vans, which I'm not sure I've ever used, to be honest. They didn't really fit the vibe of my last zoo, but I think they're going to look really cool here once we've done some work on them. So firstly, we're going to put custom signs on top of all of them. And these are going to be dedicated to some of my Planet Zoo pals who are constant sources of inspiration and encouragement in all my builds. We'll get the signs built and start customizing the colors. So this is going to be the craft beer van. So it's going to be black, obviously. And then we're going to have an ice cream van here. So we'll put the little ice cream logo on it and then start making this match the colors of the logo. And then we'll move on to the milkshake van and get that in a kind of similar vibe, but different order of the colors so they're not both the same. Then we'll start working on getting the counters in. So just slide these in here. I love these counters. They're so much better than the big boxes that we had before them, and you can do a lot of customization with them. I'm going to concentrate mainly on this one here. We'll put our first custom sign in. This is going to be a Beezy beer van dedicated to Beezy, who I built Pomoja Wildlife Park with, and I've used a lot of his climbing frames in Tekton Zoo. Not used any of them in here actually, which is surprising. We're going to raise the ground up a bit here, just so there's a bit of a variety in the terrain. And you can't raise the ground up around the counters. Probably should have done this first. So we'll just move those up into the air and then bring the ground up and then bring them back down again and get some paths in. So this is just behind the water terraces, and I want this to feel like an extension of the water terraces. So we're going to use the same paths, and I'm going to use some of the same motifs from the water terraces. So we're going to put a load of little gardens in the gaps between the paths. So we got some nice greenery in here, just using some of the faux rocks to line the edges of the paths. And then we'll do the same trick that we did in the treetop trail last week and sink some of these plant boards down. The way they combine with the rocks here, you get a really natural look that I really like, where it's just, if you sink it down to the right level, the plants seem to just sort of grow over and between the rocks. We'll repeat this all the way around here. We'll get some of the new palms in, and then we're going to continue that all the way down here so it actually joins up onto the water terraces. This is going to be a really wide path between where the tree frog oasis is and the flamingo habitat, and this will lead people into the rest of the park, and then we'll move on to the restaurant. Now, the best thing about the restaurant piece for me is the beautiful kitchen that it contains, and we're going to take advantage of that and build this restaurant with an open outdoor kitchen. So rather than use the restaurant in the normal way and have people going in and ordering and then disappearing and appearing on tables and stuff like that, we're going to have the kitchen out in the open. I'm going to cover up the little serving hatch that you see there and replace that with a screen with orders on it, so it looks like the head chef or whatever is coordinating things from there. And then we're going to have a courtyard out the front of it with tables. We're going to have a rooftop terrace with tables, and then we'll have an indoor part. And the great thing about the restaurant tables is you don't need to attach them to paths like all the other tables in the game, so you can be really creative about where you put them. I think as long as they're within 30 meters or 50 meters of the restaurant, you can basically put them wherever you like and the people will find their way to them. So the concept for this restaurant is that it would be table service. A lot of zoos that I look at, a lot of high budget zoos anyway, have loads of different types of restaurants. You've got some high-end restaurants. I know San Diego has an actual like fine dining restaurant in it. And then you have your sort of your standard restaurant. And then you've got little places where you can get like a burger and stuff like that as well. And we're going to have all those types of restaurant in this zoo. This is going to be called the Palm Café. And I'm actually going to go for like a North African vibe to it, which I think will sit really nicely with the water terraces. So we're going to put some tables in here for the courtyard at the front, and then we will move up and put some tables in on the rooftop terrace. Ignore all the plants there. That was an idea that didn't stay. There you go, got rid of those. We'll put a floor in instead. We're going to extend the top as well, so the final shape of the building is going to be really different to the actual restaurant. And then we're going to put a waterfall in. I thought this would make a really nice feature here, especially when we get the color right and this texture, which I've already spoken about when we built Iguana Falls, that I really like. We're going to use this again, but in white this time, and it really gives that vibe of a sort of a North African kind of build. We're going to use loads of these as pretty much all the walls, basically, all placed such that you can't see the water anywhere apart from the front one, obviously. There we go, that's the walls in. Starting to look interesting. It's quite a strange shape. Once it's all finished, I think it looks really nice. We'll start working on the door here and get this to fit in a bit better with the rest of the design. That back wall that you can see of the kitchen, which is really bright, that'll be covered up as well, so everything fits together really nicely. And we've got an outdoor open air, open plan kitchen, which I think looks really cool. There's loads of great stuff in there that Frontier have put in when they built it. I definitely wanted to feature that. So we're going to use some concrete panels here to cover up this back wall. And we'll position it so that it completely covers the back wall, but doesn't cover all the stuff on it, like the spoons and stuff like that. So we've still got that interesting look. It just looks like the whole kitchen has been built outside. And like I said, we're going to cover up this serving hatch so that it's less of a feature of the build than it would be if we just used the kitchen normally. Do some more work on this side using these plaster pieces to bring it all together. And then we'll put in the palm that gives the cafe its name. I just like the name Palm Café. It's definitely more of a restaurant than a cafe, but you can have posh cafes that serve proper food, etc. Nothing wrong with that. We'll continue this motif around the top as well, just to sit everything in together nicely. And then the waterfall at the front is actually lower than the terrace, so we'll rotate these as well and get those lined up perfectly. There we go. And then we'll do some more work on the door, get a bit of glass in and a bit of a frame to start setting it into the build. And then we're going to move on to the roof and put these beautiful North African fence pieces in. I really like these. I've never had a build that sort of needed something this ornate in it before. So it was really fun to use these, a really good piece. And then we're going to put one of the African arches in over the waterfall. And this really sets it off once we get rid of the tribal designs, which are a bit over the top for this design. There we go. I think that's a really nice front to the restaurant. We'll put some of the, I think it's the new tropical umbrellas in above all the tables, just make the colours a bit more subtle, and copy those all the way around. Looking good. We'll get some of the new vines growing up the front of this waterfall here. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know the combination of white concrete or plaster and green foliage is probably my favourite thing to do in the game, so it was a lot of fun doing that here. And then we're going to get a screen in that I mentioned with the orders on it for the guy who's going to end up standing there. And then we'll put one of these North African lamps in, customize it a little bit, change the colours, put some decorations on it, and this will go right in the middle of the courtyard as a sort of centrepiece. Not that much need for lighting in the zoo, seeing as it's only going to be open during the day. And then we'll get the floor continued into what's going to be the inside part of the restaurant. We need space for quite a few tables in here. I haven't had this open for long enough to work out whether guests actually choose to sit inside more if it's, raining, and then sit outside more if it's sunny or anything like that. I'm not sure, but we definitely want a variety of different seatings, whether the guests in the game would actually care or not, just for the look of it. And now it's time for Franchise Masters. So this week's tip is about custom filters. These are so useful. I use these all the time. I have two custom filters set up at the moment. One called Tiny, which is all the smallest pieces in the game for when I need to do detail work. And one called Clutter, which is just all sorts of random objects that are great for adding clutter to builds. And I go into these all the time, so I'm going to show you how to make them in case you don't know. One of the things that regularly annoys me, which we're going to fix right now, is trying to find rope pieces. If you type rope into the search box, everything from the Europe pack, anything vaguely to do with Europe will show up, because obviously Europe has the word rope in it. So we're going to make a custom filter just for rope pieces. So you go to here, and type in your new filter name, rope, and then we're going to go through and tag each of the rope pieces with this new filter. We'll just go through every rope piece. We're only going to have to do this once, and then this tiresome task will never need to be done again. And once we've got all of them tagged, if we now go back to the custom filters and select rope, there we go, every rope piece in the game arranged for us, easy to select, and that is going to save us so much time in future. I hope you find that useful. Let's get back to the build. It's time to link the tables to the restaurant. So I've linked all the ones on the roof and the courtyard. Now we're going to link the indoor tables, and we have got the maximum 20 tables, so plenty of room for our guests in here. And then we'll do a bit of decorating on the inside. So I want this to be pretty simple because we have got a lot of work to get through today. So we're going to put some nice lights in. We've got some of the African lights on the wall. We're going to go with these conservation piece lights here and put the really modern, on-trend lampshades in there. I made this little plant pot with one of the new tropical pieces and one of the new ferns to sit on the front because I thought that was nice. So we're going to copy this inside as well. And then we're going to finish off this room with an absolutely amazing piece from the workshop made by one of Planet Zoo's best builders, in my opinion, Just Goron. This is a kind of serving area for salads and things like that. It's basically a salad bar, and it's just it's so well made. Just look at it. It's crazy. It's like frontier quality. He's made it all himself. I absolutely love this piece. I could potentially make this myself, but it probably wouldn't be as good, and it would take me about a month, and we don't have a month because we've got a lot to get done today. So I'm going to use this piece. It just sits in perfectly. I absolutely love that. That's the inside pretty much done. Let's move back outside. I had a cute little idea for the tables here, that they should have table numbers on it. So we're going to use this piece from the tropical pack and sink it down into the tables and recolor it, and it's going to look like each table has its number so the servers know where they're going. And the great thing about this piece is you've got the little circle on top, and it's such a small piece when you sink it in, it doesn't stick out the bottom of the table. So we can put this on all the tables, and it's just a nice little touch, which I really like. We're going to add a bit more decoration to the front of the open plan kitchen using the tiny little chains from the grasslands pack, and then some of these conservation lampshades, the same as or similar to the ones on the inside. That looks nice, just a little bit of extra detail to the front here. We're going to run a path from the back of the picnic area all the way up to Amazonia so that our guests can get there from Amazonia to here. It's going to be pretty bare bones at the moment, but there'll be a whole new area of the zoo in there when it's done. Get some foliage around the back of this picnic area just so that we can have a nice backdrop for it. We'll sort that out properly when we build the area that's going to go here. Put some benches and ATMs, bins and all that kind of stuff in there. And then we're going to do some final detailing on the food trucks. So JP Shakes here, our milkshake franchise, is going to get a little neon sign here, another thing I've never used before, but I think that fits really nicely on there. And then we're going to sneak a staff room into the restaurant, which I thought was really clever, until I hit play and realized all the guests on the roof were deeply unhappy being that close to a staff building. So you'll see I reconfigured the wall slightly in the final cinematics to get that into shape. And then we are really going to go to town on Beezy Beers. So we're going to build some taps for the beer to come out of when it's being served. Put a beer mat in. Also need to cover up that gulpy sign because we are not selling sodas here. So we'll use, it's one of the new tropical pack pieces that's recolorable, so that's really useful. And then this tap, which I think is from the conservation pack, to create the beer taps. We'll have a couple of those in, get those in the right place, and then cover up this gulpy sign with a modified version of the big sign from the roof. Just use a load of squares basically to cover up where it says gulpy, get it to be the right color. I put some wood in as well. I didn't put that in the build, but you can see some wood paneling in there so that the bar's a bit more impressive. There we go, got the sign, and that is the build done. Let's take a look at it. So here's the food trucks dedicated to BZ, Romana Palacios, and JP. Thanks for all your support, guys. Looking really good. I think they look really cute in those different colors. And here's the Palm Café itself. I struggled a lot to build this, I've got to be honest, but after hours of achieving nothing, suddenly it clicked and I'm really happy with how it looks now. Got a nice overview of the area here. This is my new favourite view in the zoo through the open plan kitchen out onto the water terraces. I think that looks really beautiful. Here we are inside. You can see the new wall that I had to put in to be able to move the staff room. And this is the view from the roof terrace looking down onto the water terraces themselves. Really, really like this. I hope you guys like it. This is the important thing. Our guests are now in the green for happiness. So we have achieved our goal for today. I will see you again next week. Thanks for watching.